Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce, and how this government-led intervention is going to fundamentally transform e-commerce in India on two counts. First is it is going to increase the number of participants in the e-commerce framework, which is getting the small and micro enterprises, the kiranas in the unorganized sector, to help them sell their goods and services online. That's one. And second is it's going to challenge the dominance of the platforms and their incumbency in the e-commerce space. Now this video is in continuation of what I posted the last time around, which was India's $1 trillion digital aspiration. The point that I made at that point in time was to say that if our micro enterprises can be brought online and enable the transaction, that will also fundamentally change the models of value creation available to these small players and create a robust digital society. And in that video I did talk about how the government of India is going about facilitating the process and so on and so forth. In this video I'm going to touch upon how the ONDC is another government intervention themed to bring about transformation in e-commerce and in the retail space. To give you a context, the problem that the government is trying to solve is twofold. One is to kind of help the discoverability, searchability of these small players. Left on their own, it is very difficult for the kirana shop or the pan wala or the chai wala to open a website and get hits on the website, found on the website, maintain an inventory, sell his SKUs, and also maintain a digital infrastructure which enables it, because all of it will add on to costs and it will make it a overwhelming activity for these small entrepreneurs. And the second is it is going to also transform, it is also going to create a model which will challenge the Flipkarts and the Amazons of the world going forward in all aspects of e-commerce, right? And now we're going to talk about the limitations of the platform-led model, which is the model of the Amazons and the Flipkarts of the world, and also the limitations of the ONDC model, and leave it to you to discern and kind of come up with responses to say that which is going to be important and at what speed the adoption should happen. With that, let's move on to the So ONDC, or the Open Network for Digital Commerce. In this presentation, we're going to first talk about the challenges of the platform-led model and then talk about how the ONDC will transform digital commerce and what are the limitations of the model. Now, starting up the Indian e-commerce system, Indian e-commerce industry, the big picture: 4.3% of digital e-commerce in 2020 was online. E-commerce was online, and it's expected to grow to 10.7% by 2024, which is a significant leap. 1.2 crore kiranas, accounting for 80% of the retail sector, of which 90% is unorganized. The key enablers, and we know about it, and I've talked about it in my other videos, is the cell phone density, data consumption, rise of internet subscribers, and I will not labor on this point because you would have seen it. It's because more and more Indians like to transact on the net, and therefore it gives them an intuitive and a convenient experience. So therefore e-commerce is here to stay, and its gallop rate is quite fantastic. Around the business models, there are two classical business model, or the marketplace model, which is basically an aggregation. It is a match between a buyer and supplier who are participants in that marketplace. Typicals are Myntra, Amazons, the Flipkarts and the likes, and we know about them. And the shopping websites. Now shopping websites are a classical inventory-led model. As we talk about, the MSMEs have disadvantaged in both the models, right? However, there is a website called My Dukaan, which makes the playing field somewhat level, which is actually an infrastructure provider for MSMEs to get online. But just going online is not good enough, because you have to be able to be visible online, you have to be able to transact efficiently online, and you have to integrate logistics providers and the other infrastructure elements to be successful online. Putting all of this together, it becomes very difficult for a small player to be present online, and that is precisely what it is trying to solve. Here, I mean, this is again a repetition of what I had spoken before, but it is important to drive home this point. The inventory model and creating an online presence, managing it, keeping it updated can be overwhelming. However, Dukaan is an enabler. The other thing is competition, discoverability, gaining consumers' trust, the project range, inventory management, the logistics part, the payments infrastructure, all of this makes it a bit complex, and therefore a lot of people do prefer, and it means SMEs do prefer to be participants in platforms. Now, when we understand a platform is basically, this low barriers of entry. You can you're easily discoverable, integrated with other services. However, the biggest problem of a platform is called the portability of trust. A platform is a store of value where the buyer and seller have to be part of the platform to enable a transaction. As a result of which, the trust that you have gained through multiple transactions in the platform are resident in the platform and are not interpolable, because these are proprietary systems. They have zero interpolability. And if you are particularly growing in the platform, it's a single point of failure. Anything goes wrong, then obviously you lose all the good work that you have done. Therefore, and also, if you are participant in multiple platforms, a lot of sellers are participants in multiple platforms. The challenge there is that you have to maintain separate infrastructure and it can be kind of expensive to do so. Finally, the misaligned incentives between the platform participants and the platform can create conflict between participants and platforms. Private labels of platforms. If certain categories kind of start selling more, then the Amazons of the world can actually create private labels and can create an unfair advantage for its own products, right? So the platform is a store of value, which is not great for every participant in the platform. Now, therefore, the point is, should we scale what works or what works at scale? These are fundamentally a different principle, because typically technology is about scaling what works, but here the point is we're going to actually create a network-based system which works at large scale, demonstrates trust, integrates players, and also gives high quality products and services. Now, the difference between a platform model and a network model is as follows. On the left, we have a slide on the platform model, where the buyer and seller have to be part of a same platform to do a transaction. So which means a buyer has to be part of Ajio, Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra to do a transaction, so as the seller to be. So it is completely resident in one closed proprietary system, and it is a storehouse of value. So for instance, if you are a seller who is selling in Ajio, to move your trust to Myntra, you have to start from scratch again. That is the limitation of the platform. Now, obviously, there is a concentration risk, single point of failure, and so on and so forth. In an open network, however, the platforms and applications are interoperable, wherein buyers and seller can transact no matter what platform or application they are used to being visible, which means a proprietary system between multiple proprietary system. Even if I'm a part of a proprietary system, I can actually transact across multiple systems, which therefore transforms me from a store of value to an open network, which is a connector of value, which means I might be part of Ajio, but I can still transact in Myntra. I can display my goods in Myntra, which makes it easier for me to participate across platforms and therefore not be hostage to a particular platform. That is the big difference. Now, if you look at how it is being structured, we got to understand the ONDC model. See, in the ONDC, there are a buyer side and a seller side, and a seller could be a supermarket, kirana store, retailer, logistics provider, and the seller side app actually is integrated with a buyer side app through a process called a gateway, which enables discoverability. In the subsequent slides, I'm going to break it up into more actionable items to be able to understand how the flow of value happens in a particular in this network. So let's look at this. This is a diagram that I picked up from Inc42, which is a great place which does a lot of content work on startups, and I picked it up here. This has been demonstrated very well. Now, if you are a buyer, you log into a particular app and search for a product. So in this case, you're saying searching for wheat. The moment you search for wheat or product A, a request is sent, a request is sent to ONDC, because the app is connected with the ONDC gateway, which broadcasts a request to registered sellers around the buyer's locality, depending upon the configuration. For instance, it could be location specific, quality specific, time of delivery, or whatever parameters that you have put in while you are searching for the product. It broadcasted. So then the buyer receives all the available options or bids from approved seller, and then the buyer, which is you in this case, will choose a particular seller, add it to cart, go to the checkout page, make your payments, and then immediately you will start the order tracking. Now seller accepts the order, the logistics provider is assigned, delivery agent picks it up, and the order is delivered. So this is how it works from the buyer circle, right, which is purely intuitive. So step one, you go into it, search for a particular product, put in dimensions, price, location, and so on and so forth. It broadcasts, ONDC broadcasts it to the sellers in that particular location. You get the quotes and you select one. The moment that happens, a logistics provider is assigned and the delivery agent picks it up and delivers it to you, and so and the thing continues. Now if you look at the same thing from a seller cycle, here the buyer is selecting a particular seller. The seller there through the ONDC network, the seller then immediately broadcasts the request to logistics provider. The logistics provider then sends quotations to the sellers. The sellers then picks the order up to deliver, and then delivery agent is assigned, and so on and so forth. So this is how the whole technology works, and it happens in nanoseconds, which enables you to kind of interact very seamlessly. So what does the ONDC do? You don't have to maintain a website. You are discoverable easily. Your payment gateway is managed, and the logistics is enhanced. Now the question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of a platform versus an open network model? And these are very simple. In a platform, now suppose you are transacting in Amazon, and I do a lot of work on Amazon, you actually have a trace on the seller. If there is a product complaint, Amazon takes accountability, facilitates it, there's a refund process, and so on and so forth. Now in the open network, initially the quality assurance has not happened, right? So there could be issues of quality and issues of probably fraud and so on and so forth, which I don't know if the ONDC has a perfect solution to it, because it will take time for it to evolve. However, what it does, it increases scopes and creates a huge amount of participation of MSMEs who would never be able to go online otherwise. So to that extent, it is a great advantage. Would it be right to say that ONDC is a perfect response to the dominance of the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world? Probably not at this point in time. But the more important point is, it is going to challenge the incumbency of the Amazon. So these people are also participating in the ONDC as participants, and a lot of banks have taken up stake in the thing to enable the process. The question is, over a period of time, ONDC is expected to mature and give us a service to the extent to the quality that Amazon would, and the quality of sellers will also improve, and so on and so forth. So the point here is, it is not either or, but the question is, ONDC meets a national goal and enables rapid digitization of our economy. To that an extent, it is very, very important and a significant benefit towards it. So what I'm going to do is, here is requesting all of you to kind of comment on the video in the comment box, and I'll respond back to you. Next, I'm going to talk about digital banks and full stack digital banks which are coming up in India, and Niti Aayog's paper around it. So do watch, share, like, comment as you deem fit. Look forward to meeting you again very soon. Thank you and have a nice day.